Hi, it's Nadia Hoyer Booth, 845-323-5986, reading for the role of Stacy as the group leader. We start using for a reason. Then it turns on us. Let's explore why. Why does this drug make us feel so good? How does it affect our brain and behavior? Why do we get so hooked on it? Let's go around the group and tell me what used to give you pleasure before you started using meth. No one wants to be addicted. Unfortunately, over time, you are literally changing your brain's chemistry. It's an unfortunate and unintended consequence of long-term meth usage. One very important thing to realize in recovery from meth use is that the feelings of paranoia don't immediately stop when we stop using the drug. These symptoms will eventually fade as the brain heals itself. This just shows how much meth use changes our brains. And this is a reminder that addiction is a brain disorder, not a moral failure. When we come into contact with any of these drugs and their triggers, our brains release dopamine, causing us to crave. One of the most important parts of recovery is to respect and honor these triggers with an action plan. The most important thing to know about emotional triggers is which emotions are the most potent for you. If your trigger is anger, then know it and work on it. People like sponsors or spiritual advisors can be great tools in helping us chart a different path in life. But we must take the actions necessary to help ourselves. Let's talk about what's ahead for you on the road to recovery. Stage 1 is the withdrawal stage. There's another stage following this that people refer to as hitting the wall. It's a complete lack of enthusiasm and lack of pleasure with anything. It's so important to acknowledge this stage and to know it's temporary. Feeling good again without meth or any other drug takes some time. In early recovery, many of us will have trouble feeling pleasure or satisfaction. It's imperative to get to the other side of this. When we do, it shows that our brain is healing. When we start using, we don't understand the consequences. Well, we just wanted to be understood, to find a connection, to have fun, to be in control, be at your best, to feel good. The good news is when we stop using meth, the brain will heal. Life begins again. Thank you. Now on to the voiceover portion. When we experience something we like, a message travels to the reward center of the brain, and we experience pleasure. Inside, our brain cells, called neurons, are constantly communicating, shaping how we think, feel, and behave. Let's take a look at how these work. Pictured here are two neurons. The one on the right sends the message, the one on the left receives it. The tiny space in between them is called a synapse. This is where messages are relayed. Let's take a look at how we normally receive pleasure. The sending neuron contains dopamine. This is the brain's pleasure chemical. When something good happens, this feel-good chemical is released into the synapse, where it connects with receptors. There, dopamine activates the receiving neuron, which in turn conveys the message onto the next neuron, creating a chain reaction that produces pleasure. After the message is sent, dopamine is recycled by transporters to be reused. This process, happening over and over, gives us pleasure. and the feelings of it. Thanks so much. Nadia Hoyer Booth, 845-323-5986.